What's going on, everyone? As you can see, I have a Breitling here for a review. This is the Breitling Avenger 45 chronograph, and this one comes to me by the way of Saltzman's Watches of Newport. They are, of course, an authorized dealer, and they sent this to me on loan for review. Thank you to them, and if you want to purchase this watch or others that they carry, their email and phone number will be listed in the description below. Just tell them you saw this review and you are interested in purchasing one. Just an FYI, I'm not getting any kickbacks here. I set this up with Saltzman as they just aren't too far away. They carry a few brands such as Breitling Tag, Luminox, Raymond Wheel, Oris, and a few others. And it's kind of just an easy deal. I don't have to go through all the rigmarole that I have to with some of the brands themselves. And I thought it would be a good way to get these brands here on the channel and website for review. So anyways, on to the review here, and this is a relatively easy review for me as I owned a similar Breitling model, the Seawolf Avenger, which is pretty much the same design and size, but that was a dive watch. This is more pilot and of course a chronograph, but the case shape and size is the same, and overall it just looks like they took that Seawolf and made it into a chronograph, though this is missing that helium escape valve and the crazy high water resistance. Now, the Avenger lineup hasn't changed much over the past decade. That's okay in my opinion, as the design is iconic at this point, and these models are just great looking watches, and I've always had a love for Breitling. I remember back in the day looking at them in the watch magazines. Yes, I'm old enough to remember looking at watches in magazines rather than blogs like this one. And to this day, I still love them. I will say for me personally, the 42 Super Oceans are more my style and size, but I cannot deny the classic Avenger series. All the specs will be shown on the screen here, but this is a thick boy, if you will, with a 45mm case width, not including the massive crown and pushers, and almost 17mm thick, which is actually a little thinner than my Seawolf was because of less water resistance here. With such a large and heavy watch, this one is one that you really have to love big watches to want to wear this one on the daily. But I know many that love these, and I was someone who used to wear these big watches on the regular myself, so I get it. Unlike the Seawolf I had, this case is all satin brushed with a combo of brushed and polish on the bezel. When you get a good look at the profile, you will notice the screws on the bezel, and of course the little B logo as well. Just those little touches to these models I have always loved. The crown is massive and easy to grip, and the pushers give that satisfying click when you press them. And if you are someone that actually uses the chronograph to time things, this is just satisfying to use. The bezel itself is again satisfying, as most Breitling bezels are, and I know I'm repeating myself here, but this bezel design is just so iconic at this point, and even though it's all steel and with normal use it'll get pretty scratched up, I still love it. The dial on this one is a great shade of blue, and I love the yellow accents on the second hand and top subdial. And if you didn't see it in the specs, yes, this is listed as a Breitling 13 movement, which is just really a 7750 with a custom rotor, but you get the traditional 7750 layout here along with those beautifully polished applied markers with the slits of Lume sandwiched between them, and of course the white gold Breitling wing logo. Unlike models with Arabic numerals, the applied indices are only ever so slightly cut off with the subdials, but it's not very noticeable, unlike when they do it with the numerals. And for a chronograph, this is a pretty clean dial, especially compared to something like the Navitimer. Like every current Breitling model, the dial is covered with a sapphire crystal, and these crystals are AR coated inside and outside, and you get that purple blue hue, which does look neat. These coatings are prone to getting scratched, something that really does bother me. Breitling is far from the only brand to use dual AR coated crystals, and I know many do love it, but it's just not for me personally. The case back is really simple here, even more simple than my Seawolf I had, as at least that one had a stamped wing logo on the back, but here you just get the engraved Breitling and model name. And for a watch that is $5,500, actually $5,550 retail, I would have expected a little more. I mean, I know it's the back, but if we say that, then where does that end? And, what do we let these luxury brands get away with then? Yes, Rolex, especially on the sport models, probably have the simplest case backs ever, but I expected more on this watch here. Let me know if you agree down in the comment section below. This example comes to me on a blue canvas style strap with white stitching, though it has a pretty soft leather backing with a standard tang buckle. Also available is the same strap, but with a push button clasp and of course a Breitling bracelet. The price does go up if you choose the push button clasp. That goes up to $5,700. And if you go bracelet, you are looking at $5,850 retail. For me, I don't think I could do bracelet on this watch. It would just make it so heavy. But I know there are many who probably love the extra weight. But I think this strap does a pretty good job of balancing the case head, and the dark blue color with the yellow backing looks pretty good as well. For those not familiar, I have a 7.5-inch wrist. And lastly, we get to the Lume, and honestly, I can't really say anything negative here. The Lume lights up nice and bright, and though I wasn't able to test this wearing to bed like I normally would, the Lume seems to hold a good charge for about 5 hours or so before completely fading. Even though I don't wear watches this size these days, really, I honestly could see having one of these in the collection, even if only I wore it occasionally, as I just love the build and design of these Avenger pieces. And though I really don't use a chronograph, I still think these look great with the pushers and subdials, and what can I say? It's a beast of a watch. It's a Breitling, it's an Avenger, and if you know what these watches are, you know why you want one. As I said, this came to me from Saltzman's Watches of Newport. Their email, site, and phone number are listed below if you are interested in ordering or just inquiring for more info. I will have a written review up on watchreport.com soon, and of course, I want to hear from you. Sound off in the comment section and let me know what you think of this Breitling Avenger 45 chronograph. Be sure to like, share, subscribe, and while you're at it, hit that notification bell so you never miss one of our review videos. That's all for this one. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.